Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll start actually designing and styling our header so it matches our design in here. Okay, so when we look at design, first we have few common things, like for example the color. Most of the font here is like 14 pixel size. You say how I know that. So basically I just went and look at the screen and go to the elements here and see what is the common one. That's how I know. And if you start from design file, usually the designer will let you know and you'll debug the design file and you know how to get all these details. Okay, so what I will go do here first, I'll say I want first all my content, okay, everything, sorry. So this is a new selector you'll learn today. So this means everything, whatever elements you have in your HTML, everything. I want to remove any margins they have, and I want to remove any paddings they have. So usually any elements you add in HTML, they have a default spacings around them. They call paddings and margins. Okay, at some point you know what's the difference between them, or later in my deep crash course on CSS. But basically I want to remove any extra default space that they come with built-in HTMLs and the browsers, so I can style them and I have control on them when I start doing the CSS. And one more thing is we need to do something called box sizing, and I want to give it a border box. Okay, what that means. So you see, first let me stop that. So when I remove the margin pad, you see everything sticked to the corner, means all those default size it was in there, it's gone. I will comment it again so you can see it. You see there we have some spacings here, that's because of margins and paddings. And if I go here inside the elements themselves, here my nav, it doesn't have, but if you go in UL, you see there. So the orange one is margins, and the green one are the padding, and the blue one is the actual contents you have. You can see here down below in this box here. That's the good thing with the new developer tool. You can see this box here. They got the box model, and you can know where your spaces are going. So if I go inside my UL, I can see the content is taking 40 pixels on the right and the left, and nothing on up and down. And that's what you can see here. In here, there's no green up and down, it's only on the left side, which is taking 40 pixels. There's no border, so it's 0. Then my margins, you can see up and down is 16 pixel, right and left is 0. Okay, so that's my UL element, how it's taking space. Okay, so and so on with other elements. You have some of them that they have font one, like you see the button. If I go scroll down, it have border 1 pixel up and down, 6 pixels on the right and left. That's in padding. My border is taking 2 pixels on all the sides, and it doesn't have margin. Okay, if I hover again, there it is. So we go back here. As I said, I want to remove my default margin and padding. Okay, and also want to do one more thing, is that I want to enable my box sizing border box. So that's what it will do. So let's say I have a button which have a border 2 pixels up and down on the right and left, and it have margin also up and down, I don't know, 10 pixels. But I want my whole button overall to have a height of 50 pixels. Okay, so if I don't do this and I say my button height is 50 pixels, and I have also padding, and I also have margin, what will do, the total height will be my actual height, which I did 50 pixels, plus my padding pixels as well. So that will be more than 50 pixels. And you say, oh, my design is not working and it's not pixel perfect. So what I'm doing is that I want to have control on this, and I want always my paddings and my contents to add up to give me the actual heights. Okay, so I'll just go back here and enable that. Okay, so that's how we need it later. So that's first thing. Second thing, I will go and say, okay, I notice when I look at the website that the color is kind of grayish. All the content, mostly, only some few things you have darker ones. So what I will say, I'll say everything color will be that dark gray. And then when I want to customize few of them, then I'll just go and customize them as needed. Okay, Then I'll go here, I'll add my body. You remember your body element in your HTML where you put all your content inside? So I will go and focus on the body. I'll say, okay, whatever elements inside, I want them to have a default line height of 20 pixels, and I'll explain what that means. And I want default font size, which is the size of your text, to be 14 pixels, and font weight by default to be 400, and I will customize them per element as needed. So what line height means? Line height means how much space your image is taking up and down, how much is stretching up. And font size is your font size, how much big it is, how much small it is. Okay, and font weight means how much bold it is. So 400 means will not be bold, something like this. I think this one is 500 and 600, and this one will be much more. So by default, I want everything to be normal size, 14 pixels, normal line height. I don't want to be taking too much content up and down. And the font weight, don't want it to be bold. I just want it to be normal text. Okay. I save, I go back, and you see here, my text become a little bit grayish. It's not fully black now. Okay, and everything is stuck to the corners. Now, what I will do is, I'll do something global as well. You see here my anchor tags, which are in pricing. Remember I told you they have default styling for each and every browser and different color again for each and every browser. I don't want that. I want to customize them by myself. So I will go and remove the default styling. I'll say all anchors in my application, remove the text decoration, which is that underline. I will say none. So that's what it means. I don't want any underline in my anchor text. And also the color, remember before I said if you visit become purple, if you don't visit it keep blue, and of course every browser is different. So I don't want that. I'll say color inherit. So what that means, your anchor tag will inherit the color from the top elements. For example, here I have gray, it will be always gray. If I have an element, for example, I don't know, the li was red, then my anchor will be red because that's the main parent. So always will inherit from the parent. If this one doesn't have a color, it will take from this one. If this one don't have it, it will take from this one. If this one don't have it, it will take it from this one, so on. Okay, so always inherit it. And of course, at some point, if I want to customize special one, I will go to that anchor tag and make it custom. Okay, so those my global styling in here. Now I will go into main design. This one's like just a preset. Okay, so I will go here. If I go back to my design, I'll start by main structure. As you can see here, my main content, it is in the middle of the page. It's not sticking to the corners, but it's in the middle, keeping some space on the right and the left. So what I will do here, I will add a class which will be same class to my header, my main, and my footer, and that class I will target to centralize in the middle. Okay, so here I did it already. So I create a class called main section. I add it to my header, to my main, into my footer, and I'll copy that class. I will go here and I'll say, okay, I want the width to be 100%, but I don't want it really to touch the size. I'll say the max width. So this will make it responsive 70. So 70% of the window view. Okay, I don't want to touch the size. And good. Okay, so if I go here, you see here, it's not, that's the blue, that is your content. So I can see it's not taking full screen, but still sticking to the left side. Okay, so how we can centralize it? So when you have a width, the way to centralize, you'll have a margin right auto and margin left auto. So margin left auto, margin right auto, and to make it stuck in middle. Okay, so I'll say margin left auto, margin right auto, save it. You see there, it's stuck in between. So if I hover it, you see my blue content is actually in the middle. I have same orange, which is the margin, same on the right, same on the left. Okay, which is really good. Okay, now I will move to my next part, which is the header. So we'll work on this chapter on the menu and we'll work on the header. So on the header, what I want to do is I want to make sure my content here it's same level as my logo. So if you remember here, see they're sitting next to each other, not below each other. So the way you do here, if I go to the header, I have my logo directly beneath it, and then all other content, this one here, okay, in the same level. I want them to be next to each other. So the good thing about new CSS, which you don't have to struggle like we did in our old times, is we used to use float before, which was a really nightmare. It was a lot of issues creating with that. But now there's something called flexbox. So the way the flexbox work is that if I give this one display flex, it will just align the items next to each other. So I will go here, header, I'll say display flex. See, now my image is next to my navigation, whatever the right side is. Okay, it still looks ugly, but we'll get there. So what will happen is display flex will align the image in the middle, and this one's in the middle between them. Okay, I know this menu things, I want them to be here aligned, so that's one because I entered another div, so I have to do it and another one. Okay, so if I go here to my navigation, to my right menu section, so I want first my navigation with the buttons to be aligned next to each other. So what I did here, I did an ID, so we can use all the selectors. So I'll use that ID, and I want also this one to be display flex. You see what happened? Now my buttons, which are same level of my navigation, now all these ones are next to each other. Okay, so we want also these ones to be next to each other. So that's inside my nav, inside my UL. Okay, so I want these items to be next to each other. Okay, so what I will do, I'll say in my navigation, I want my UL, but the first one, the direct child, that's a new selector you will learn today. So the direct child of my navigation, I don't want these ones here. I want the children of this UL, the first one. These ones. I want the product, I want the pricing and reviews to be next to each other. So I'll say my navigation to direct child UL. So navigation and this sign and UL. That sign here means the direct child. It will target this one. It will not pick up the nested one. Okay, I will say the direct child, I want it to have a display flex. Okay, you see here I have my product, my pricing, my reviews next to each other. Okay, we know that initially when we render our menu, the sub menus will not be visible, so I have to hide them. So the way I can do it is I'll go here, I'll say now nav UL, so the direct child, sorry, and then in UL beneath it, because I may have this one is a UL, and then like this one have another UL inside of it. So at first, in the beginning of my page load, all nested lists, I want them to be hidden. All my nested menus, I want them to be hidden. So I would say any UL under my direct UL of the navigation, I want it to be hidden, and the way you do it is say the display none. So here we have display flex, and that's another value which is display none, and I will go back. See here, they're gone, all gone. Okay, another thing now we want to fix is, you see these dots we had in our last chapter, because I reset everything, so I want to remove them. I'll say okay, by default, because I know I'm not needed through the whole website, and then if I need it again, if I'll just add it, I'll say in URL on my website, I want to say list style type none. Okay, it will just remove all of them. See, now it's getting shaped. We have our logo, product, pricing, reviews, then my two buttons next to it. Okay, now what I will do, I will go back to the beginning. I will see here, you see the my header is sticking to the top. I want to add some space up and down too, so it's far from my content. So I'll go to my heading, I'll add, for example, padding. that's to add a space. I'll say up and down, let's say both, I want them to fix 50 pixels, and then 0 on the right and the left. Okay, so that's the way you add padding. And other ones you have, for example, padding. If you want to target them one by one, you have padding top. You can say, for example, 50 pixels, padding bottom, 50 pixels. Okay, because I know the right and left I don't need. Either I can do this or I do this too. But for me, I like less lane of code, so I'll just go and remove this and keep the other one for me. Just make less space. I want less lanes of the code to make my code more readable. Okay, good. So now you see we have space up and space down. If I go and I hover on the header, you see the green one. That's the padding I add. And if I go to the box down, you see here, I'll select it. My content actually is 41 pixels height, but my padding up is 50 and my padding down is 50 pixel. All good. Now let's go back to my image. So I want to change the image actual size. Now is 198 pixels. I want it to be different. Okay, so that's all just purpose of learning. So I'm making all different scenarios. So I will go, I know my image I want to target inside my header. So either you can add a class name, call it logo, or ID, call it logo, or I can go again here and say my header and my direct image under the header. Okay, also I want the width to be 150 pixels, and it worked. So you can see up there in my logo that when I hover, it's giving me the actual size. So I have 150 pixels by 31 pixels. If I remove this, the width, it will become big. It will become 198. Okay, so I want to keep it now 150 pixels. It's nice and clear for me. Okay, now next thing we will do is this menu. It's sticking to my logo. Okay, so I want it to have a margin on the left side to keep some space. So next to my image is this div, which I add an ID, which I have it here. I'll go back there. I'll say I want margin left, and I want it to be responsive, so I'll not put pixels, I'll put percentages. I'll say it's 10 IM, okay? And that's just push my menu far from here. But notice something is that now my menu items look a little bit up in my logo, which I don't want that. So what I will do is I'll come back here. I'll have some properties for Flexbox, and that one will center it for me. See, now they're centered with the image. So you say, okay, that was so quick, what did you do? So there's something called Flexbox in CSS. Okay, it's a big topic. I will not go in details in this video. I'll have full video on CSS Flexbox. But basically, if you don't know how to centralize an items using Flexbox, just go and Google it out like I do all the time, and just say, for example, vertically center element Flexbox, and you'll find just a lot of articles in there on how to do it. And as you do it every time, 3-4 times, I will know what to do. But to actually get details and understand what is Flexbox, here in W3 Schools, as always, they have full details, and you can try it by yourself. It's open editor for you built in, and you can change fields and run it, and immediately you get a view. And again, as I said, I'll create a full tutorial on CSS Flexbox. But that's what it did for me. Easily it align items for me, easily I can centralize them to each other, easily I can move them around, even I can do something, I can make this number 8 first and make number 1 last. It's just amazing. We didn't have this flexibility a few years ago, but the Flexbox like a magic CSS happening. So if you want few details, you can come here to W3 Schools, or just stay tuned and I'll create a full course on that one. So we go back to our menu. So there we go, we have things aligned nicely. Now I want these items to look more like this, have some space between them so I can read them. So what I will do is I will go to my items, and I think I did some class in here. If I go back to the header, yeah, so I added some class here to target them. So I added all main allies for me because I know those main allies here products, pricing, review, they have same style, and I call them main menu item. Okay, and I'll come here. It is a class, okay, so dot, then my class name. And what I will do is I will say, okay, I want a margin right to have some space between them. I'll say margin right is 40 pixels, okay, and I want them to be aligned together, and the font size is a bit smaller, here is bigger, so the font size actually is 17 pixels. I did by getting the website and I got to know what is it. 17 pixels, and also the line height is a bit bigger. That's stretching and taking more space. Line height is 22 pixels, and also their color is a bit different. So I'll say the color is this code. There we can see it get a little bit lined up. Okay, so that's my menu, which look nice. Getting there. Now I'll go to my buttons. So my buttons still look ugly. So what I did here is I added some class. So if I see here, my buttons are same. The only difference, they have same height, they have same paddings up and down. See the space here, it's same. The space there, it's same. Okay, even the font size of the text is same. The only difference is this one have a background color of white or transparent, and the color of the text is green, while this one the background is green and the font size is white. Okay, so the BTN will hold the common attributes or common styling, and this one will have the custom ones just for the color of the text and the background. Okay, so I will copy and paste some styling so I don't waste your time. I'll just go through it. Okay, you see here my BTM, so that's my common class for both of them. So display inline block. So what happens is that if you don't do inline blocks, only inline, you can't have margins around it and you can't have heights for it specified. So either it needs to be block or inline block. So why I didn't use block? It's because if I do block, they will go back down here. They need the full lane for them. So inline block will do work for me. I want them to be having cursor pointer. You see the hand? I want it to be a pointer. Font size just 13 pixels. The font size is 700 because they are bold here. Text align center inside my button, and the letter spacing. So the space between the letters is smaller than default one. So they make it 0.6 pixels. Text transformation uppercase. So I want whatever my text inside to be uppercase. So if I remember here, I put one lower and one upper. So it should be with this one, both of them now upper. The margin left, so I want just the margin on the left side of both of them to have some space there. Then the padding, so I have some space up and down inside my button, and also on the right and the left. And border radius is basically this curved little corners in there. So I want to have a tiny one, which is 4 pixels, and by default I keep a border of 1 pixel. So if I don't do that for this one, this button will be actually with more height than this one. So even this one have a background, I'm keeping a border as well there. Then the bordered, this one I'm making backgrounds transparent, color of the text is green, and the filled one I'm making the background color is green and the color of the text is white. So I'll go back here, save, and there it is, magic happened. So that looks pretty nice. Okay, so what we'll do, I will stop the video right here, and in next video we'll continue with the menu, and we will see we can add the sub menus in here, and also how to make it responsive. Okay, so stay tuned and